Hello, hello. Welcome to the Pharmacy Seeds Network YouTube channel live stream. We are officially live. This is the Pharmacy Seeds Network YouTube channel Tuesday night live stream. We do a Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners net via amateur radio over the Overlook Mountain amateur radio repeater. We're going to start here in about a minute. Just give everybody a chance to kind of get things together, including myself. Make sure I get the logbook ready here. Glass of water. All those little eccentricities. Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and start it. This is KD2 net control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners net. The Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners net is a radio net sponsored by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. We talk about farming, gardening, and related topics. That said, we're going to go right ahead and get started. This is KD2 net control, looking for check-ins for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners net. Check-ins, please call now.
This is KD2 RFI.
The net recognizes KD2 RFI. Bob, are there any further check-ins? Alright, no further check-ins at this time. How are you tonight, Bob?
Hey, good evening, TJ. Doing well. Enjoying the weather and enjoying everything that
Hello, guys.
has been handed my way, I guess, and it's been going good. It's been crazy busy as the season might have for us, but like I said, enjoying every bit of it. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Yeah, things have been busy for me too. Feeding and harvesting, and also starting to think about getting things ready for fall. I feel like I can just never catch up to a season. But overall good. We've had an excellent growing season, good harvest coming in now, and things are great.
Yeah, I understand that. Very good. I'm starting to think about harvesting the honey here in a couple weeks. I think the weekend of 30th. Yeah, on or about the 30th. I'm not sure what day that falls on. That weekend, though, I'm planning on harvesting honey. So, and then, man, I gotta get in the firewood. I'm so far behind on firewood right now. So I have absolutely zero logs split for the winter. A lot of them sitting there drying all summer long, but nothing split for the winter. So I got a lot of work ahead of me. And I feel I'm gonna have some downtime coming up from work in a while. Too around here. I got myself involved, pulled so many different places, and focusing on so many different things at once. It's just hard to keep everything aligned and caught up. So the one good thing is, though, I mentioned a while ago, I got my been doing a lot of skydiving, and it looks like this Friday I'll be acquiring my license, so I can actually jump unassisted and unmonitored. So if you hear any thuds close to your house, it might just be me coming in for a rough landing.
Alright, well I will keep my eyes peeled to the sky, and if I have time, I'll get a net out for you if you need one. Well, congratulations on that. That's awesome. I'm sure that's quite an accomplishment. I'm sure it takes some jump time and some experience to get that. And I hear you on the other things stretching you all directions. So you're getting ready to harvest honey. I want to get back to that. That interests me. Do you harvest in July at all, or do you just wait until August 30th basically to do it?
Pretty much I wait right to the end of summer for the most part. Usually end of August, beginning of September, around that range is when I target to harvest. I know a lot of people harvest twice a year. I don't. It's a 2-day process for me, and that's assuming I have somebody to help me. This year, I think I'm doing it on my own. I don't think anyone's around to give me a hand, so harvest, or the extra I took off a few of the hives just to make more room. I haven't even bottled that up yet. That's still sitting in 5-gallon pails, so I got a lot of work ahead of me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I pulled off a deep and a medium mid to end of July, but I haven't uncapped them or extracted them or done anything with them. I figured I'd just wait. I have one more deep on one of my hives that's one frame from completion now, and it was actually about 2.5 frames a couple weeks ago when I checked, and I thought it would be done by now, but it slowed up a bit. So yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, you don't get much honey production beyond the beginning of September, basically, huh?
No, I think generally September is usually a period of dearth, or basically there's not a whole lot of pollen and a whole lot of nectar being produced by the flowers. It's kind of a dry season for the bees, so there's not a whole lot of production. I know a lot of people put scales, or I won't say a lot of people, some people put scales on one of their hives, and take measurements of the weight of the hive. And the weight of the hive may increase or decrease by as much as 10 pounds a day, depending on the availability of nectar and pollen and how much they're bringing in.
I've heard that.
So it's pretty interesting. And this time of year, unfortunately, the hives start getting a little bit lighter generally. There's not a whole lot being brought in. But the goldenrod is blooming, so, they're still definitely bringing in a whole lot of goldenrod out there. And I still have a bunch of purple loosestrife floating around that still seems like it's blooming
10
pretty
pounds
well.
a day is crazy, yeah. Hey, Steve, how are you?
They'll do well. I saw you just posted a video, too, of with the basil, I think what the title was. I haven't watched the video, I apologize, but you've seen a lot of bees still on your flowers down by you.
And net control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. I'll answer your question in just a sec here. Let me just see if there's any further check-ins. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. Very good. I have Kilo 2 Delta Echo Delta, which is Steve, and I believe he said Hyde Park. How are you tonight? Good to hear you. Your signal is very scratchy at the moment. Is there anything you can do to improve that? Sorry, Steve, I couldn't make out a single word. I can tell that you're talking in there, but the signal is so scratchy I can't pick any words out. So maybe try again in a bit, or I know you're watching the live stream. You can always communicate via the chat on there. Let's see. Yeah, down here, Bob, we have a ton of goldenrod just opening into flower now. We also have loosestrife. I have buckwheat in flower now, and several more crops of that'll be flowering in the next couple weeks. The honeybees, my honeybees were in the holy basil today. Yeah, I did just put a video up on that. Storming it. I mean, just storming it. It was swarming with honeybees. And then I got Japanese knotweed off on another side of the barn, and that is loaded with honeybees and every kind of wild pollinator. So my thought is that there's still a nectar flow going on, and we don't have a dearth here yet. So I had just added a couple of supers 2 weeks ago, I think, in hopes to catch a late honey run. Do you think there's any possibility? I guess is what I'm really aiming at.
Yeah. I think adding the supers will
same here, homestead.
Probably give more room.
142
not sure how much more
steady.
You'll get out of it, but I'd be interested to find out. So definitely keep me posted on that. Yeah, up here are I think our goldenrod's pretty much full bloom right now. So for the most part, so we're definitely headed into the peak of the fall season, I guess. see on there's still some clover popping out. So I was surprised to see him still hitting the clover a little bit. I had a little purple clover. They seem to be doing real well. But overall, the hives I have going seem to be doing really well, and I'm definitely looking forward to the honey season. It's a ton of work. I'm not looking forward to the work, but I will reap the benefits, definitely. One thing off topic I got going on, I'm actually out sitting in my truck. My handheld battery's low. That does hit the repeater from here, which is a good thing. I finally got the Chirp program software up and running on my Apple, so I got the programs all up on my handheld. But I think the battery's low on my vehicle, because every time I get out there and I sit in the vehicle without it running, my radio won't transmit. I keys up and then drops right off. So, but if I start the vehicle and have it running, it seems to be doing really well. I know I did kill the battery the other day, so I don't know if that's a direct cause or not. I gotta definitely look into a dual battery setup for the vehicle. It has a spot for an extra battery, so and it's gotta hook it up eventually. But I know a little off topic, but I guess I'm just saying that because I probably won't be here too much longer because I gotta have the vehicle running in order to use the radio.
Gotcha. And yeah, that's a strange problem, especially considering the vehicle starts up okay. You would think there'd be enough voltage to supply the radio. You might do some tracing on there. You might find a corroded contact somewhere or something. Dual battery never hurts, but I wouldn't expect that to be particularly necessary. But interesting. So it sounds like you guys' goldenrod is ahead of ours. Ours is really just starting to open in the last week or so, and should be full open by next week, I would think. So I would expect another honey flow out of that. And then, like I said, I have the buckwheat down, which I've been watching. The first planting of that is in full flower, and I haven't seen a single honeybee in it yet. So that also makes me think that they're off on other resources. There must be something that's more attractive to them than that, to be in and out of the hive, foraging, doing their thing, and not touching that. So those are my thoughts. Let me just do another opportunity for check-ins, and then we'll see if K2DED got his signal situation straightened out. So this is KD2IIN at control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. First, let's check in and see if K2DED has got a better antenna situation here. Steve, you there? I'm sorry, Steve, still just not audible at all. I can tell there's a signal there, but that's it. I guess we'll roll it down and see if there's any further check-ins. Are there any further check-ins for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net? No further check-ins at this time. All right, back up to you, KD2 RFI. Pick it up.
Hey, KD2 RFI. Yes.
They're trying to.
Anyway, I think I actually heard Steve mention before, and if he's on the channel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. I think I had heard him. A couple of words broke through that I could hear from his signal.
Okay.
Was his antenna situation is about the best it's going to get at the moment.
Okay.
So I don't think he can do much to improve it, unfortunately. But that is
So
nice
true,
that he's
DP.
reaching out from Highland all the way down there and still being able to hit the repeater.
I thought you was.
I remember it was either my first or second year of doing the honeybees. I had a really good late season run of knotweed, of all things. And I had some, I don't know, people like it, don't like it. I've heard mixed reviews. But I had a really super dark run of honey. I held it up to the light,
From the
had a
knotweed.
little red tinge to it.
Oh, awesome.
I loved it. I loved the darker honeys, and I thought it was phenomenal. I have not had that since, and I've been really hoping the bees would pull in some dark honey, but the last few years have been all, the lighter honey, the more of the clover / wildflower type flavor honey. I'm really hoping for
Little Jordan.
a good run at some point of the knotweed. pretty sure that was late in the season. I can't remember if I pulled it off early season that year or if I pulled it off late season.
Yes, exactly.
Probably,
you're right on point with me.
Help correct that timeline a little bit by telling me
No, I won't
when
be
the
told.
knotweed usually blooms.
Okay, yeah, and the knotweed, I have one right here by the barn, and that just started opening about a week ago. Pollinators are into it in the last 4 or 5 days, and then today, the day before yesterday, and then today, increasing pollinator activity. Today up to like a dull roar from 50 feet away. That bush is just loaded with pollinators. Tons of honeybees, every kind of wild pollinator. Everything from stuff that looks like yellow jackets and wasps to the little mason bees to bumblebees to bee flies to you name it, every kind of pollinator. And so dark honey. So I'm surprised to hear that it's such a white flower. I was kind of expecting something lighter, but that's kind of along the lines of buckwheat. I'm really hoping to get a taste of that. And yeah, it had me thinking that would be an awesome one. We used to have the family farm was out in the Catskills, out in Delhi, and ran along the east branch of the Delaware River, and that whole stream bed is completely loaded with Japanese knotweed. I would love to stick my hives out there for a late honey flow and nab the Japanese knotweed. I don't know if you know it or not, but that has a tremendous amount of medicinal properties in it also.
No, I did not know that. That's pretty interesting to hear, though. I find out
George.
amazing.
Thanks for stopping by.
I find out something new about what nature has to offer us. I'm like, what the hell?
Okay, no worries, Steve.
What do we need all these big drug
companies
for, pharmaceutical companies for? The answer's right in front of us, and we're just trying to reinvent the wheel, I guess. We keep making square or octagonal wheels when perfectly round wheels are already right out there in front of us. So that's pretty neat. As far as putting hives out in other locations, I know up this way we have the farm, Black Horse Farms, I believe they're called. Every once in a while they're looking for people to place hives out. So, and I know there's a couple farms down in Kingston area. You might be able to, speak to them and see what their practices are as far as the use of
pesticides and such.
Any chemicals on their plants or pesticides or whatnot, and
hey,
see what their best
homestead
farming practices are, and might be worthwhile putting a couple hives down their location once you start expanding. If you got 3 kicking now, and they all looking pretty big and strong, by next spring you could easily
6.
double or maybe even triple that with a few splits.
Yep.
You might not get as much honey flow out of it by doing splits. It might be a little low on the honey side, but the following year you got to look at the bigger picture and expand your operation, depending on how much time you want to invest in it.
Yeah, it's very much along the lines of where I'm thinking, and I was thinking about maybe doing, maybe taking 2 hives next spring and doing splits, and then keep one for production, and then kind of work my way up from there. But I'm gonna have to go back and buy some new equipment. And I think as much as I like the 8-frame hives as far as management, I'm just looking at how fast you have to stack supers when you get a good production season. And I'm like, man, I think I want those extra 2 frames of width to take some of the height out. So I'm looking at different hive parts and that kind of stuff. But definitely looking to expand. And the Japanese knotweed, that's actually one of the things that's used to wipe out Lyme co-infections. The root of that plant is high in a compound called resveratrol, among many other medicinal plant compounds, but the resveratrol is the big one. And that basically kind of acts like an immune, kind of like an adrenaline boost for your immune system. So that part of the plant's used. The tips of the early spring shoots can be steamed, just like I want to say broccoli. It's not broccoli. Asparagus, and apparently it tastes pretty similar to asparagus. So that's interesting. And then also along the lines of the resveratrol, that resveratrol also is used for a plant stimulant that acts sort of like an adrenaline boost for plants and makes them grow faster. The downside of using that continually as a sort of a foliar feed is that over time they sort of get like an adrenaline depletion, sort of like humans do if we use our adrenaline too much. But yeah, really interesting plant, very medicinal, and there's a whole lot more I want to learn about that plant. But it's awesome to see that the honeybees go to it, and I'm glad to hear that that's dark nectar as well. I understand the buckwheat nectar is also, so looking forward to that. And I share the same sentiment with you. I like that dark honey and dark flavor, and actually when we were making maple syrup, I like the darker maple syrup flavor-wise as well.
Yeah, big copy on the maple syrup there. Yeah, definitely the darker maple syrup. I do like. They seem to be richer, bolder flavors, which is good. You mentioned the foliar feeds. Kind of along that lines, my front yard, I probably got about an acre of field. I only mow a very small portion of it where I'm going to plant that garden we've been talking about. And, once you mentioned the feeds, and I'm thinking of the plants growing and everything else, I have all, the portion of the yard I don't mow, I got all just wildflowers in pretty much for the most part. And, I just let it come up naturally. In the spring, I will mow it down, help stimulate the growth a little bit, early spring. And then I let it go all summer. Right now, everything is about 3 to 4 foot high, and I'll take the tractor through and slowly beat it down again at the fall once the growing season's all done, and chop everything up and mulch it down. It seems to be doing a really, really good job for me maintaining it in that fashion. I seem to have a lot more wildflowers, and it just seems to be a lot thicker growth coming in. Is that generally a good practice on how to handle a field like that, or is there something else I could be doing to encourage the growth? And I don't want trees or anything heavy coming up. I prefer the field type grass and flowers that's being produced at the moment. Any recommendations along that line?
Yeah, it sounds like you're maintaining a nice diverse meadow there, and yeah, no, that's excellent practice. That keeps the perennial trees and bushes from getting up and getting going too bad, and remulches that stuff back to the soil, and you're not taking it off. So you're building biomass doing that. So you're building your soil, you're building your soil carbon, your soil health. That's excellent. Something I have been thinking about doing, I was looking at seed pricing on it recently, and I haven't quite figured out how to budget it in time-wise or financially yet, but I really want to do some, there's some perennial wildflower mixes you can get. There's also annuals, and I want to plant some of each of those in a couple of spots. So that might be something you might consider. You could deliberately plant a whole mix of, pretty much strictly flowering plants in there to help support your bee colony. That would give you diversity, and being perennials, you could keep your mow management strategy in place, and really not change your management practice any, but you could improve the diversity of the flowers in that field.
Yeah, I get a few packets that pretty much every year, and I usually throw it out in the spot here and there, and I don't really prep the ground at all for it. It's more of a throw it down and say good luck to you type process. So I don't know how effective that really is. But wherever I can get these, I guess it's butterfly mix or honeybee mix, they refer to them as, or wildflower mix. I tend to pick them up whenever I can and just kind of throw them out there. I imagine probably only 10% of them are actually germinating. But I figure 10% is better than not doing anything at all. But like I said, I don't do any soil prep or ground prep at all for them. It's mostly I spread it, forget it. KD2 RFI.
Gotcha. Yeah, you probably could get much better germination and productivity results by taking the time to prep the soil. I know it's a lot of extra work, but if you mowed that down and gave it a scratch till and then planted it and did a good foliar drench with inoculants, you could really do it. And if you targeted that for like middle of September with the perennial mix, you could get those plants sprouted in the fall, and then next spring they would actually be flowering plants like that following season, rather than having to loop over 2 seasons to get flowers out of them. So that's something to do. The big thing I find is if I put down that a good forage foliar feed or a good soil treatment in conjunction with that planting, it really improves germination, vigor, plant health, and ultimately total productivity of what you're putting in. Those wildflower seed mixes are not cheap. It's probably worth pairing another 10 or $15 worth of material with them to really ensure their success. That's just my perspective on it.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be worth spending a few extra dollars for, but I mean, like I said, I'm only picking up the freebies here and there that people hand out occasionally. So it's not. I have zero invested. So it's at this point. At some point, I definitely would like to scratch till the entire area and do exactly what you said, like mid-September, go through mow it down, scratch till it, and plant down a whole lot of wildflower seeds. But I need enough for, an entire acre of land. So which, I think seeds, to cover that would probably be around $100 or more dollars. So not really expensive. I just don't have the
not really cheap either.
The tiller to do it. Just to scratch the top of the soil up and whatnot effectively. Closest thing I got is a York rake, and that's everything I mowed down would be dragging it right off. So that wouldn't be really effective. But definitely a good concept. And hopefully if I'm ever able to get a tiller on the back of my tractor, it'll be something that'll definitely be happening. And like I said, like you said, just scratch the top of the surface and go to town. Anyway, we're near the 10 o'clock hour, so I am going to have to check out and start prepping myself for that dirty W word in the morning called work. So
the dirty
appreciate it, and thanks for having that up and running. I really enjoyed talking to you and getting the information and trading notes, especially when it comes to bees and everything else. Chickens are doing well. Haven't lost too many. Everything's going well there. And I don't know, not a whole lot else to add at this point. So, but I think I will be stepping to the side here in a moment.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm about ready to wrap this up myself. But excellent talking to you as always, and like you say, comparing notes on bees. And I always appreciate checking in against your much greater experience with bees and kind of feeling you out and picking your brain. So I very much appreciate that. As far as the York rake, you probably could do that in the spring after that vegetation is rotted down as a way to scratch it up. But yeah, it's not the most efficient method. Probably best to get a tiller. I would do something behind the tractor because an acre to till by hand is a lot of work. Let me tell you, I've tilled a few of them by hand. But anyway, excellent conversation as always, Bob. I appreciate it. And the dirty W's, boy, they start early for you, don't they? All right, well, thank you very much for joining, and I hope you have a good evening. I'll just pass it back to you.
All right, CJ, likewise back. And as far as the bees are concerned, listen, you are expanding your knowledge base incredibly. You're right up there with me at this point. You've really done a lot of learning. You seem to have a good grasp on your eyes. It looked phenomenal, and judging by your videos and talking to you here on the net, the bees are up and running. So you're right up at my level right now already. So
I wouldn't say that.
Definitely take pride in that. It sounds like you really got a good handle on it, which is good. Again, I appreciate the net. I appreciate talking to you and comparing notes and everything else. So you take care. You have a good night. Everyone else out there listening on the live stream, take care. And a lot of good information to be learned here. I wish everyone a 7-3, KD2, RFI. I'm clear.
Alright, and we have a comment back from the live stream. They all like hearing your experience too. And thanks again for the kind words. I don't think I'm quite up to your level, but that's a very nice compliment. Have a great evening, Bob. Great chatting with you. KD2, and This is KD2 and Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. I'm going to go ahead and close this up here in a minute, but just in case we missed any people who just want to do a final check-in, we have one last opportunity for check-ins. Let's see, I think that was Kilo 2 GFY.
Correct, sir. Kilo 2 Golf Foxtrot Yankee. Your repeater is sounding good down here tonight. I'm down here in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. Down here in Waterford, New Jersey, which is about 25 miles east of Philadelphia. Right smack dab in the middle of Wharton Track State Forest. I think I'm about 158 miles from the repeater, if I'm not mistaken. I looked it up. I think it's thereabouts, give or take, as the crow flies, about 158. But we're skiing in the van and came upon your net. Very interesting net. So decided to stop in and say hello. Big greetings to everybody up there. Hey, TTFY.
Well, thank you very much for checking in, and I believe I've chatted with you once or twice before on this repeater. Yeah, you are quite a ways from the machine. The Pine Barrens, I think that's a solid 100 and something, might be 150 miles, something like that from the repeater. So excellent to hear you check in. Glad you stumbled across the net, glad you like it, and you can always catch it on a replay on the live stream here on the Pharmacy Seeds Network YouTube channel if you're interested. I'm going to go ahead and close the net up for now, but appreciate the check-in, and maybe you can join us next week. We're every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m.
Alright, yeah, I talked to a net before, I think, or I talked to, maybe not the net, but I think I was talking to two or three. I know I checked into one net before, I'm not sure whether it was this one, but if repeater book is accurate, it's about 158 miles. I guess that's not bad considering where I am and where you guys are.
That's radio, Steve. Yeah, I think that's right. I think I remember looking your call sign up, and I think you told me where you were way back when we talked. It's probably a couple of years ago now, but yeah, I think that's about right. So that's a good trip. I don't know what you're running for power, but you're hitting the repeater at about 80% DFQ. So there's a little scratch in your signal, but you're totally audible.
Now, you might enlighten me. What net was I listening? You were talking about a lot of plants, and you were talking about bees and some stuff. Is this a particular net, or what exactly did I run across? I wasn't sure.
We're talking about bees and stuff. Yeah, this is the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. We run this net every Tuesday. Well, I run this net every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. And we basically talk mostly about farming and gardening, but sometimes we expand out into radio or cooking or whatever. It's amazing how wide those topics can range. But yeah, we're here every Tuesday night, and been going since, I don't know, I think 2015 or something like that. And we'll continue to be here. So we'd love to have more gardeners, farmers, and people of like interest join the net and converse with us. So if you're up for it, love to have you along next time.
Okay, yeah, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm out in probably the southern central part of Wharton Track State Forest, which is very, very big. It encompasses probably 3 or maybe 4 counties, and we're down here. No street lights, no sidewalks, no pavement. 95% forest. The town is probably less than 1,500 people.
Nice.
And okay, good. Gardeners net and farmers net. It was very interesting night, especially with the bees and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, I won't open that up for anybody else. I just wanted to say greetings to everybody with the sound of my voice up there in New York State, and have a pleasant evening. T2 GFY.
Very good, very good. Well, glad you joined us and checked in. Much appreciated. Hope you can make it next time. And yeah, bees. I just got bees last fall. They are fascinating creatures to watch and interact with. So one of the other participants of the net here, KD2RFI, has been a beekeeper for quite some time, and he's got 16 or 17 hives, something like that. So we always end up going back and forth about bees and talking about the season as it relates to bees and flowers and health and all that sort of stuff. So it kind of wanders all over the place, but it's generally oriented around farming and gardening. Anyway, I appreciate the check-in. I'm going to go ahead and wrap the net up, and I'm going to go finish out the live stream here. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. This has been a session of the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net, sponsored by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club, located in beautiful Ulster County, New York. If you want to know more about our club, visit our website at www.omarclub.org. That's whiskey.Oscar Mike Alpha Romeo Charlie Charlie Lima Uniform Bravo Oscar Romeo Golf. Thanks to all those who participated in the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. And also, don't forget, we have a net on Thursday nights run by K2JLV usually, and that's usually more oriented with radio and usually sort of a topic-oriented net, and talk about all sorts of different radio-related stuff. Excellent conversations those had there, and good participation. So I hope you go check that out as well. On the third Thursday of the month, our club has our meetings. Visit our website for more information about meeting locations. All are welcome to attend. That is all. This is KD2IIN saying 7-3 and inviting you to join us again next week. The net is officially closed and this repeater is back under regular amateur use. KD2IIN is clear. Well, that's a mouthful. So, over to the live strizzle. To the strizzle for rizzle. What up, peeps? Oh yeah, the Mothman won't get me, don't worry. Yeah, excellent discussion tonight. Every time KD2RFI comes on, we have excellent discussion. I could sit and talk to that guy for days straight, probably. I'd love to just take a whole weekend with him and like sit around a campfire and chat. Can you imagine the conversations we'd have? Anyway, yeah, he's an excellent source of information. Excellent discussion. Yeah, every time, like, if I hear him put his call out on the radio, unless I've got like a solid 15 minutes, I don't even answer it because I know I can't have even a short conversation with him in less than that because it's just too much in common. I gotta actually get up to his place one of these days and see his operation. And I'd like to get him down here to see my stuff too. I don't know when he or I will have time to get together, but we need to make that happen. He's a really interesting dude. Glad to have met him. That's another awesome person I've met on amateur radio. I can't tell you how many phenomenal people I meet through amateur radio and through YouTube too. But the amateur radio is just, it always amazes me. You know, they say 6 degrees of separation thing, you know, there's just like, I did this and that. It's like, it's just amazing how those pieces just keep coming back together and you meet some really interesting people from all walks of life. Okay, enough of the amateur radio plug. Anyway. So what's going on with you guys? Geeky, you're getting ready for fall plantings, huh? That's awesome. And Steve, I don't know, man. That's just the nature of radio. Are you in Highland or Hyde Park? I thought you said Hyde Park on the radio, but it must be Highland because I thought you were on the west side of the river. I thought you were down somewhere near Stone Ridge, if I recall correctly. And if you're still here, also, are you still on the Toad Harbor net? If so, can you say hi to the Toad Harbor guys for me? I haven't talked to those guys in forever. Hyde Park. Oh, you're in Hyde Park. I don't know why I thought you were on the west side of the river. But okay. Yeah, Hyde Park's kind of a weird spot for this repeater. It's funny, it's one of the few shadows, especially if you're in that little basin, the lower part of the basin there as you go along the river. That guy in the Pine Barrens is up on a 400-foot hill in northern Jersey. That's why he gets in. And he's got a directional antenna and he's running like 100 and something watts. So he has a few advantages. Well, that's okay, Geeky. In a month, they'll be about big enough to go outside. That's perfect. Yeah, I'm eyeing the greenhouse and looking at upgrades, fixes, patches, get ready for winter. I gotta do a pickup and clean up and mow up around it, and I gotta transfer the new big stove out there and get that set up. I gotta pull the big ram reservoir tank back in. It's time to get ready for that season. Ugh. Part of it is exciting and part of it is dreary. The drama of selling pigs, is there a lot of drama on that? Or just today? Yeah, he was up in the Pine Barrens, Steve. He's got major elevation advantage, major power, and I think he had a 50 or 100-foot tower up on top of those hills. So he's like on the highest hills, on the highest part of the state, with high tower, with high power, with a directional antenna. So he's got boom, 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 boom. New toys. Uh-oh. Yeah, switch to the geek side. Geekorama. What'd you get, Geeky? Tell me you got some accelerometers and you're building a robot for me for farming. That can determine the difference between a weed and a plant I want to grow, and foliar feed only the plant I want to grow. It's just a small request. Dreary is the word. Yeah, yeah. You know, consistent snow, I hear what you're saying, just to have that white cover, but I actually, as I get older, the snow is more of a pain in the butt, because I gotta dig through it to get the firewood, I gotta shovel it, I gotta plow it. But yeah, you know what it is for me, it's the cold. It's the cold and the lack of growing green plants, and more than that even is lack of sunlight. I really need my sunlight, man. My mood is so much better when I get good sun exposure and get that vitamin D going. I can imagine homesteading. I know how aggravating it can be to sell tomatoes sometimes, and pigs don't sit in a box nice. And they're not exactly, you know, pick a box up and put it in the car. It's like, that's a job to put it on the trailer and take it where you're going. It snowed there once. Yes, that's a great way to put it, Steve. It's spiritually draining. Yes, it is. But it's also replenishing in a way, you know, like I enjoy the fires of winter. I enjoy tending fires. I enjoy the coziness and warmth of the greenhouse. I enjoy a little bit more time to cook. There are positive sides to it too, but it's just so long, it really wears on me. By January, I'm dead sick of it. Relays and one of two actuators and a bunch of photo resistors. Oh yeah, you're building your solar tracker. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Steve. It's spiritually draining. After the holidays, yeah. Well, the holidays wear on me hard anyway. There's just too much pressure with them, you know? There's just too much pressure with them. You have to go here, you have to go there, you have to go to this dinner and that dinner. And like, if holidays were actually relaxing, then they'd be holidays for me. But they're just another 30 things to do, gifts to buy, people's feelings to worry about. It's a lot of pressure. I've taken a little bit of a lackluster mentality on it in recent years, and I kind of just let the holidays float over, and then if I feel inspired, I do gifts or I love and share or spend time with someone, but it just burns me out. But yeah, by January I'm like, ugh, why don't I live somewhere warmer? Everyone wants the same pigs for less than I'm asking, or a deal for buying two, and then they want them delivered 3 hours away. Yeah. It's the same. It's anything you're trying to sell. They want homestead raised pigs, but they want them at a Walmart price and a Walmart delivery, right? Just tell them, Chris. Good, cheap, fast. Pick any two. Yeah, I know, Steve. I know. I keep thinking like, what I really want is to live in the north like this for the summer and go south for the winter. Like, I used to think people were crazy for that, but man, I think they got it right. I'd love to have my homestead set up so I could walk away from like November to March and just come back when the weather's nice. Or even a check-in over the winter, but just to get away, even if I could get away from it for a month and get some sun and warm up and be comfortable. Made some people mad, Chris? Bicycle axles and bearings. Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work. Welding's not hard to learn, Geeky, especially like MIG welding for light steel like that. That's easy. That's easy. If you can solder, you can weld, man. I'm sure you can solder. It's just a different metal temperature, different way to bond things, but it's really easy. No, it's no worse than soldering, really. MIG welding, well, I guess I shouldn't say it's easier than soldering, but it's almost equivalent. If you understand how to melt metal and bond metals together to get a good solder joint, you can do it with steel. With, you know, different, it's just a different temperature and a different material. Mimster, I'm glad to see you check in. I'm glad you're okay. You surfaced for air finally. You must about have your militia together and ready to assault Carlton. I mean, slug Carlton. My goji berries didn't make it after they germinated. They didn't go any further. They died on me, Mimsy. I felt like I let you down. We got to make another try on those next year. Hey, Robin, how are you? You hanging in there, I hope. Hanging in there, still kicking. That's good. That's good. That's all we need. You gotta hang in there. Hopefully things will improve for you soon. Just don't give up on us. How much are bores to proceed to ask me about every bore in the pen. How much for that one? 200. How much for that one? 200. How much for that one? 200. Are you not picking up the theme here? It's 200 for bores. What do you not understand? Need to take a breath. Well, take a breath with us, Robin. We got some fresh air around here we'll share with you. That's funny, Chris. Next time, just feed them to the pigs. I mean... Well, let's see. 2 times 200 is 400, right? Oh, I see. You want more for less. This isn't Walmart. That's where you just have to break it down for them, Chris, and go, okay, so let me explain the difference about quality for you. You can get lots of really cheap stuff, or you can get some really good stuff, but they both cost about the same. Which do you want? Cheap stuff That's that way. Good stuff. Right here. Blue light special. That just cracks me up how some people will try to chisel you down like that. Oh yeah, you gotta run people like that off. You don't want to deal with people like that. I weed people like that out too. I don't have time for that. Yeah, you know, I mean, like that's the thing that cracks me up. People don't understand what it takes, what's involved in it. They want to come along and buy the end product, and then they want to chisel you on the price, and it's like, no, I got, you know, like for tomatoes, I got a solid 6 or 8 months in growing those. Put nutrients on out of pocket, watering out of pocket, taking time out of my day to take care of them. I'm not gonna give them to you for less than I got into them. I'm not doing it. Now that said, I do share with lots of people. I'm glad to share with people, but you know, if you're buying produce from me, you're gonna pay the price. Or you can go do all the work. I don't care. Have fun. Start a garden. Yeah, we used to have a Kmart years back. We used to shop there every week. Back when I was in my early 20s. Once a week or actually I think it was once a month we'd go over and load up. Oh, those were easy days. $1 a loaf for homemade bread. Can't make it for that. Yeah, like I said, Chris, like I don't mind sharing with people. There's people that have, you know, blessed me or that just need help. I'll share with them. I'm glad to help people. But it's different when when you help somebody from your heart than when somebody comes in and just wants to chisel you down to get the cheapest price from you. Half the time they're the ones with the most money. They're just trying to chisel you, just like it's like a sport for them or something. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly, geeky. Good quality. You get what you pay for. Like that. It's the end of the day. You get what you pay for. You can get low quality cheap, but you can't get high quality cheap. That's why you came to me and didn't go to Walmart. If you wanted Walmart, you should have gone to Walmart. Friends and neighbors and there's customers. Yeah, exactly, geeky. Exactly. Yeah, like I've been hooking the people at the coffee shop up with tomatoes. I was actually trying to sort of give some kindness back to them because they've been really good to me over the years with coffee. I didn't have enough money or whatever, they give me a break on it or give me coffee. But now every week I take them tomatoes and they keep giving me coffee. I'm like, I gotta no, just let me give you something while I have a good season. But it's nice that they do that. Yeah, exactly. 2 hours to make, fuel for the oven or electric. That's not like good homemade bread. You should be more than happy to pay a reasonable price for that. And I don't mean $1 a loaf. You can't even buy bread in the store for $1 a loaf. Not around here. $4 a loaf is like the minimum, and that's not organic. It's not homemade. It's just bread. Yes, exactly, Kiki. Barter is excellent. I do a tremendous amount of barter. No, Steve, I don't do any DMR or D-Star. A lot of the guys in the club are into it. I haven't gotten into it yet. It's like another radio, another thing to program, another thing to talk on. I don't even have time to get on HF these days. In fact, I haven't even been on 2 meters except for the net here. So I don't at the moment. It's something I want to play with, but I haven't made it to that genre of ham radio yet. $4 or $5, yeah, exactly. Like usually it's about $5 a loaf here, Chris. The one I get from time to time, this one here, is $4 a loaf, $3.99 I think. But it's just oat nut bread, you know. It's nothing homemade, nothing like Mom makes that's like super special. It's just bread. It's good for tomato sandwiches. Yeah, it's amazing how expensive it actually is. Like I had stopped buying bread for a long time, and now every summer when tomatoes are in season, I have to get my tomato sandwiches fixed in, so I buy some bread then. But yeah, I was surprised when I went back to buy bread last year. It had gone up. It used to be like $2 or $3 a loaf that I remember, and now it's $5. $2.50 to $4. That's totally fair, Robin. If they won't pay you that for it, eat it yourself. I mean, really, you know. Yeah, it really is hard to do a value-added product and get a reasonable price for it. Even my salsa. Let's see, 2017 was the last batch of salsa I made, and by the time you're done growing all the stuff, making it, it's just to make a batch, make and can a batch of 24 pints of salsa is literally a 12-hour day. It's a 12-hour day. You start at 11 a.m. If you're done by 11 p.m., you've done really well. And so I was getting $5 a jar for that, and that's, you know, a dollar a jar of that is in glass. You know, it's hard to turn it over. That's why I like the honey thing. I harvest it, jar it, and sell it. The bees do all the work. I think that's really awesome. I've worked my ass off for most of my products. Questions starting, but it's not difficult. Yeah, actually, some of the guys in the club are very much into it, Steve. K2JLV, K2GOG, N2MCI. A bunch of those guys are into the stuff. But no, I don't have any DMRs or hotspots or anything. K2JLV, Dave, and I've been friends for a long time. He keeps threatening to buy me a DMR radio. I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely something I want to play with at some point. It would be fun to play with it, play with tying it into the Pi and using the data side of them and all that sort of stuff. But at the moment, I'm just conventional RF radio. Oh, you haven't bought bread in 2 to 3 years either, Kiki? Yeah, at the end of the day, bread isn't really great for you, digestively and health-wise. But man, it sure does taste good sometimes. I suppose it depends on what kind of bread you're making, what you're making it out of, where you get your ingredients, all that kind of stuff too. But in general, I find my digestive health is better when I don't eat a lot of bread. Bake, cook, and grow, etc. I am until moving day hits. Yeah. Yep, that's basically what I try to do here too, Geeky. To be as self-sufficient as possible. Yeah, it's hard to find the right market for things. In fact, Advancing Eco-Agriculture just had a podcast out today. There's a guy talking a lot about cover crops, but he was also talking about marketing, and he was talking about You basically should find your market first and then work backwards to production, because so many of us farmers work production and then we have to go find a market, and it's really the wrong approach. It's making me rethink how I'm doing things, and I've already been rethinking that. I mean, I'm not making money. I've learned a lot. I've broken even, kind of, for the most part. I've produced a tremendous amount of my own food, and food as medicine and that kind of thing, but I really need to move forward to a more profitable operation, so I'm kind of looking at reorchestrating things. I'm going to definitely ramp bees up a lot, because there is definitely potential in that financially, both for honey and wax, propolis, pollen, and so many other little pieces of that. Yeah, way less waste. People think buying farm duck should be cheap, but they don't understand the difference between mass-produced and handmade raised. Well, and a part of that is our fault, Chris, because we need to educate people to understand the true cost of food, because they've been buying food from big lot stores for so long that they don't understand what real food value is, what it really costs to grow a piece of food, and what small-scale producers do. You know that 90% of the food in this country is produced by 7,000 farmers? Only 7,000 farms producing 90% of the food in this country. So there's a huge misunderstanding due to our mass agricultural system, and so that's going to take time to educate people on that. But it's coming around, and people are becoming more aware of it, and thanks to your channel, Chris, and mine, and many others who are doing this kind of stuff, people are getting a better viewpoint into what we do and what it really takes to produce food. Yeah, you need the product first, and it's got to be a product that wins. Yeah, it's got to be a product that wins. Like that, my salsa is like, I mean, people still ask me, I still have people on the radio, hey, do you have any salsa? Can you bring some salsa to the next meeting? So, like, that's definitely part of it. It's tricky though, marketing is very tricky, and you're competing against massive companies with massive advertising power and massive financial leverage, which we don't have any of the above. So you got to look into niche markets and that kind of thing, and it's really tricky. The right markets can really do you well, but they're hard to really pin down. Yeah, I know, I'm with you, Mimsy. The Ozarks, that sounds awesome. State regs, heard a lot, yep. Oh no, I'm not a vegan at all, Steve. No, I believe we need fats and proteins in our diet, and that we evolved with the use of fats and proteins, and that part of the reason we have the intense brain structure that we do, the triune brain structure, where we have the cerebral cortex for thinking, is in big part a result of high protein foods, which is not just grazing grass. We were hunting. We also have forward seeking eyes and sharp teeth. We are predators at the core. So let me just get the vegan off the table. I'm not judging them either. They can eat however they like, but I believe in high energy foods. A lot of the foliar feed stuff is actually aimed at increasing the protein production content of the crops I'm growing. But still, you need meat. And actually, more than you need meat, you need fats. And it's really hard to get those fats from just a plant-based diet. Yeah, that would be frustrating for me too, Geeky the Bees thing. 70 years is time for a change, yep. 60, whatever. 60, 70. Dead pig and potatoes every day. That's great. Yeah, Steven. Youngster. Are you calling me a youngster or Geeky a youngster, Robin? Because if he's a youngster, I'm like, I'm not even born yet. Here's one to be near Baker Creek. It wouldn't hurt to be near Baker Creek. I got a cricket singing to me in here, or Katie did. You hear that? I bet he's lighting the sound meter up. Oh yeah. Wow. No zoning laws. Oh, I like that. Yeah, the zoning laws have basically turned local government into your landlord. It's a huge problem here in New York. I used to work for a surveyor engineer. We actually had a project we were working on at Rhinebeck where zoning was literally arguing over the color of flowers for landscaping on this project. They weren't going to let the whole house, the whole project pass over the color of flowers. Ridiculous. Is the most ridiculous thing you could like hang up someone's property development over. I forget how many times we had to go to zoning meetings for that, but it was a ridiculous amount of money the guy spent having the engineer, my employer, having to go back and forth to the zoning meetings all the time to straighten it out. I think we finally relented on the color of flowers or something dumb like that to satisfy the zoning board. It's just ridiculous. Pretty lack there too, homesteading, huh? Nice. Born in Michigan. Yeah, he's a geek. He's a Ted Nugent guy. All right, Geeky. Are you a Ted Nugent guy? For those of you who don't know, Ted Nugent's from Michigan. My cousin, I have a cousin from Michigan, and when I went to visit him when I was 14, he was 100% addicted to Ted Nugent. So all we heard was Ted Nugent the whole time I was visiting. That's true, homesteading. Can't sell most of what you make. I just harvested 48 pounds of beefsteak tomatoes. I don't know where those are going to go. You know, I haven't looked into that, Steve, but I've thought about it. The thing is, you have to have machinery for harvesting it, and I don't have the machinery, so I don't know what supportive infrastructure there is for planting and harvesting, but I don't have the equipment for planting and harvesting on a mass scale. And if I'm going to do something like that, it needs to be on a mass scale, and I don't have a tremendous amount of production acreage here that's clear right now. Burrito sandwiches, oh yes. Well, yeah, but I mean, can you eat 50 pounds of tomatoes in a week before they spoil? I think I could maybe put away 20 or 25 pounds, but 50 is a bit much. Nah, they gotta go out the door to a sales place somewhere. I think I'm gonna try the local health food store. Alright, Mimsy, have a good night. I gotta jump out of here shortly too. Time to call it a night for the live stream. But have a good night. Glad you checked in. Glad you're okay. Hope your militia's getting together. They're gonna need everything they got to take me on. Meanwhile, everyone else here to stream will try to keep me under control, but you know how that goes. Everyone give Anna a round of applause. Yeah, Yeah, so anyway, so there's 170 pounds of tomatoes sitting in my car right now. About 120 of that in Romas, and about 50 or so in beefsteaks. We actually have one local farmer here who's growing hemp. I understand there's a field right, I don't know, a couple of miles from me here. I've yet to get by the field and stop to check it out in the daytime. I've been by it at night a few times, but I don't really want to go out in a hemp field and be snooping around at night. It might not look good. 100, your family goes to 100. Nice, Geeky. Good for you. Start driving. Cat's trash fever. Yeah. You knew it. You got me in a stranglehold, Mimsy. Have a good night. Where'd my live stream go? There it is. Wait a minute, Geeky. Used to grow hemp or used to grow cannabis? Or ruderalis? You know, there's actually 4 different strains of that plant. Base strains. There's hemp, there's cannabis sativa, there's cannabis indica, and there's cannabis ruderalis. Yeah, they're very similar. Very similar. There are differences, but they're very subtle phenotypical differences. They're not. It's not blatantly obvious. But if you saw those 2 crops side by side, you would be able to see. Okay, Chris. Not hippie heyday. Well, I mean, talk about bales. Hey, anytime you got an extra bale, Chris, you could drop it off here. Sativa and ruderalis, yeah. Well, the ruderalis, interestingly enough, has been crossed with sativas and indicas now, and there's a whole new genre out called autoflower, and they're not light dependent on when they start their flowering cycle. So, if you're interested in that sort of thing, well worth looking into. In fact, there's a website dedicated to it if you want to know more about it. It's autoflower.net. Very interesting stuff. As long as the THC content is below 0.03%. Okay. Tried to ban it after you had a half grown. Yeah, of course. This is the stupidity that goes on in this country day in and day out. The fact that cannabis is even still on the federal schedule next to heroin and cocaine is just ridiculous. I mean, of all the plants that have medicinal value, that is probably the #1 medicinal plant on the planet ever in this ecosystem. And to ban that for corporate profits, which is really what it was about, is ridiculous. But $8K an acre to plant? Is that what the seed costs? Wow! Yeah, then they want to confiscate, they want to kick your door in, shoot your dog, blah, blah, blah. Can we just pound our head straight against a brick wall? Oh, well, that's true, Steve. They have. In fact, I know a guy who's a breeder, and he has a couple of strains that are pretty much pure CBD, very, very low THC content. They were bred with crosses between high CBD content cannabis and hemp, and then back crossed, I believe. But I'd really have to ask him more about it. Wanted it cut within 24 hours without any warning. And wait, you were licensed to grow it, right? What the fuck? Pardon my French, but that's just... Well, yeah, we've been saying that since before the 60s, Geeky. That's the thing. That's the thing. There's a long history of medicinal use, a long history of medicinal capability, and now there's all kinds of studies coming out, and we're still doing dumb shit federally with it. It just doesn't make any sense. Right, because Schedule 1 is based around THC content. But the THC has medicinal value also. That's the other part of this, where in some cases the THC with the CBD works better for different diseases and different ailments. It's a very complex topic, but I'm glad we all share similar opinions. Yeah, they want thief dollars. Exactly. Exactly. At 98, really? That's awesome. Wait, Bayer? Is he right next to Pfizer? Okay. Anyway, I gotta pull the plug on the stream, guys. I got a few more things I gotta do, and I got a long day tomorrow. So I think I'm gonna pull the plug. Thank you for everyone who joined. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for another excellent live stream and met, and excellent conversation. I appreciate you guys' support and all your intelligent comments, thoughts, and conversation. Oh yeah, infused butter works great for opioid addictions and pain and a whole bunch of stuff. License bonded, etc. They said they couldn't tell it from weed. Yeah, that figures. That figures. Just stupidity. Anyway. Good night, everyone. Thank you. You all have a good evening. I look forward to seeing you next week. 7-3 Steve. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. I appreciate the attempt at checking in on the net, too. I will. 7-3s.